So over the last 5 years, I have been traveling almost non-stop with my carry-on sized backpack, and I made lots of videos where I shared my experience. And this video is kind of the highlight reel, so everything, all the tips I had in all those other videos are boiled down into one video. I already created a playlist with my more educational videos, so it's almost like a free online course for minimalist travelers or people who just want to travel lighter. So if you want to know more, then have a look at that and I will link it in the description. But this video is more or less the crash course. I give you all my best tips about just general packing organization, backpacks, toiletries, laundry, all those things, how you can just travel more comfortably with less. And let's jump right in. Minimalist travel is absolutely not about suffering with the least amount of stuff on a trip. For me, it's about reducing your things to the essentials so you can travel more comfortable with less. The gear is just a tool to enable us to have a comfortable trip, is definitely not the main star of the show. I rarely remember what I brought with me after the trip ended, so nowadays I try to obsess less about what I'm bringing. There are only 3 things that are absolute must-haves for me. It's my passport, some bank cards, and a good travel insurance. If I have those 3 things, the trip can always continue. If I would lose anything else, it would be quite annoying to replace those things, but it would not be the end of the trip for me. So I make sure that I safeguard my must-haves at all times. Never keep all your bank cards in one wallet. Hide a backup card somewhere in your backpack or something, because then if you get pickpocketed, at least you're not stranded. Think about what happens to your things once you are on the road. That neck pillow is maybe great for those 8 hours in the plane, but then it's maybe dead weight for the next 3 weeks in your backpack. Is it really worth it? I always try to decide if the comfort that something brings to my trip is worth the discomfort it causes. If you are replacing your gear over time, then always consider the size of the things. And if there is something in a smaller size that can do the job almost just as well. So in the past, I used to fly with those huge Bose noise-cancelling headphones, and nowadays I just bring my AirPods Pros because they're also noise-cancelling and they're much easier to pack. If you have any comfort items you would really like to bring, even though some hardcore minimalists would probably frown at the thought of bringing that, if you have the space in your bag, then consider this your permission to bring them. For example, I always travel with a little cork ball that is great to just massage the knots out of my back, and I bring this on every single trip. Never ever sacrifice your sleep quality while traveling. We usually cannot control our environment, so sometimes we have to stay in loud hotels or there's like very bright lights outside. So if you need earplugs or an eye mask or a special pillow cover to stay comfortable, then consider those things essentials. Get rid of just-in-case items as much as you can, but be very, very clear about what just-in-case items are for you. The most debated category of just-in-case items are usually medicines. So if I travel to a country where malaria is a risk, bringing the medicine for that is absolutely not a just-in-case item because it may save my life, even though I will hopefully not need it. But something like a simple painkiller that I know that I can pick up at almost every corner during my trip, I will just bring a few and restock as needed. Always bring a pen because custom forms still exist. Don't bring any valuables with you on the trip that you could easily do without. For example, jewelry or watches or any electronics you don't really need. Every item you leave behind is one less thing to lose, to break, or to worry about. Bring the charger you actually need. A charger that is too weak is usually not fun because everything takes much longer to charge, but also at the same time a charger that is too strong is often way bulkier than it needs to be. So match your charger to your power hungriest device you're bringing and no more. All my devices, for example, charge with a maximum of 30 watts, so I picked the smallest charger I can find that delivers this output. To reduce the cables I have to bring, I try to buy only devices that charge with USB-C. For the things you cannot charge with USB-C, check if there is an adapter available. So for example, the adapter that I have for my razor is much smaller than the charging cable I would need. Don't pack for the 1% of the time where things go wrong, pack for the 99% where things go right. If something can be easily purchased or replaced on the road, then consider leaving it behind. Because if things go terribly wrong, like they did during my husband's medical emergency in Brazil, there is no just-in-case item that could have helped us in this situation anyway. Never leave your home with a full bag. I always try to fill my bag at around 80% maximum. It is much easier to handle the bag, and I enjoy to have some buffer rooms for things like snacks. And at the end of the trip, you may even have some space to take home some souvenirs or some gifts. I am not a one-bag traveler because for me, having everything in one bag is just not practical. I use a system of 3 bags, so I have my main backpack, I have a sling bag for my must-have items, and I have one packable bag that I use just in case. I do that so I can get separated from my main backpack at any time, because often my main bag has to go into the cargo hold of a bus, or I put it in a locker somewhere when I want to explore the city, or I have to put it in the overhead bin of the airplane. So I organize everything so that I can quickly grab my seat bag, and this is why I love that packable extra bag. I organize my backpack by when and where I will need my things. For example, the things that I want to have accessible on the road are easily accessible, and the things that I just need in the hotel room can be buried somewhere. If you have a long layover, then consider packing an overnight kit. I usually have some spare clothes and some toiletries separately in a plastic bag or something, and this way I don't have to unpack all my things for one night. I always try to have a dedicated place for my things inside the backpack, and then I always try to make an effort to put things back into the same place, and this makes the bag much more manageable for me. And to take this even further, I usually sort my things in modules. I hope I said it correct this time. I usually have different packing cubes for my clothes, for my toiletries, for my tech items, and also for my nightstand pouch, the things that I want to have with me when I'm sleeping. And since I know all those modules by heart, it's easier to pack, and I also notice much faster if something is missing. And with my modules, similar to what I do with my backpack, I try to group the things by when and where I need it, and not by the category of the thing. So for example, my nightstand pouch has everything I need to sleep. Some things are toiletries, some things are electronics, but the thing that they have all in common is that I need them next to my bed. Always consider the backpack layout and the way that it opens. I don't unpack, and I usually live out of my backpack. So I like bags that need a minimum of floor space when open, and I can easily access everything. My husband, on the other hand, unpacks everything and likes to put his things away. So he prefers a bag with those big clamshell openings with some compartments so he can easily see everything when he packs and unpacks. Most travel backpacks, in my opinion, are just designed to fit airline limits and not really fit the realities of your trip, because the time I spend on an airplane is usually the shortest time of that trip. So many designers dismiss water bottle pockets because they would be outside of the limits, or they need the space to put some fancy handles on the bag. One thing I learned for myself is that I, for example, absolutely want to have bottle holders, 2 at least, to put things like wet umbrellas, water bottles, full-size sunscreens, those kind of things when I'm on the road. And there are many other types of backpacks that are not dedicated travel backpacks that may work better for your needs. Always consider if the compartments inside the backpack fit you. For me, for example, admin panels and laptop compartments are just a waste of space and weight because I do not have the correct gear to put there. But unfortunately, you rarely see a bag without those pockets. And as I said, I'm not unpacking my bag when I arrive, so most of those compartments are usually very difficult to access when the bag is open. So I personally just prefer a big bucket without any extra organization. More organization in a backpack equals more weight. Consider the weight of the bag, but also of the pouches. Don't do like me, a pouch here, a pouch there, and then suddenly half of your weight is used up by pouches in your backpack, and you didn't even put a single t-shirt there yet. And many of those highly engineered pouches are just very bulky and very stiff, but stiff pouches take away a lot of room in your bag. So if the bag that I have inside does not need any extra protection, then I'm fine with just a thin, lightweight packing cube or even with a plastic bag. Consider if you really need a waterproof backpack, because that often adds an extra weight to the bag. If you are not expecting to walk through regular rain, then it may just be extra weight. And if you just get into a downpour every once in a while, then you can also always just wrap everything in a big trash bag. You can also use a trolley instead of a backpack. The reason why I don't is usually the weight, because they tend to be quite heavy, and also a backpack fits more the way I travel at the moment. And luckily, at the moment, I am still able to carry my backpack. But if the day comes where this is uncomfortable for me, then I will just switch to wheels without thinking twice about it. Because there is no minimalist police to judge us. I always bring a very small ultralight towel. It comes in handy so often, just to wipe off sand from my feet after a long walk on the beach, or when I spill some drinks in the hotel room. I use the C2 Summit towels for that. I have every size by now because they dry very fast, they wash easily, and they pack very small. Always test your clothes and your toiletries at home before you leave. So try to exclusively use only the things that you want to bring for a while, and that helps you to see if the clothes are comfortable, if you feel good in them, or also the toiletries, if you get any allergic reactions to them or something. If you are wondering how long a shampoo bar or any other product lasts you, then weigh it, use it a few times, and then weigh it again. And then you can do the math and see how long it will last. Don't try to struggle with tiny toiletries if you need a lot for your trip. For example, sunscreen for your beach vacation. I usually just bring a small one and then I buy more at my destination or maybe even at the airport. But at the airport, that only works if you don't have to go through security again, so be aware of any connection flights. Solid toiletries, in my opinion, are a good alternative because they don't leak and they don't count towards your limits when you're flying. And luckily, nowadays, solid options are available for most things. I use soap savers for solid toiletries for 3 reasons. First off, I think it foams better. Second, I like it very much because many shampoos at some point start to fall apart or crumble, and then the soap bag just keeps them all together. And also it's nice when you just have a little bit of product left, then you can just merge it together with your new one. And the third reason, I use it to hang up my soaps to dry. I prefer the ones out of this nylon fabric because I find that the ones out of natural materials take a longer time to dry. Find products that are more concentrated or where you just need to use a little bit each time. An example that I use is my antiperspirant. This is very small, but it lasts me around 3 months. It is very strong, probably not the healthiest, but I only need to apply it once every 4 days and it keeps me absolutely sweat-free. So this little thing saves me a lot of weight and space in my bag. Make an effort to learn how much products you actually need and then just bring the correct amount to avoid any wasted space. So for example, I did that with the things that I would need for my period. For a few months I just counted how much I need and now I bring exactly this amount plus 1 extra. Take some time and try to create a minimalist routine for your face care and your hair care. I can get by with just a few products, which makes traveling very comfortable for me. Bringing less clothes is probably the easiest way to reduce the amount of things you bring. But to do that, you will need to wash your clothes regularly. My favorite way to do that is hand washing in the sink, but for that you need clothes that can be washed in the sink and that also dry fast afterwards. Otherwise, it will be a miserable experience. It helps a lot if you bring a few products that simplify doing laundry while traveling, and I created a small laundry kit for me. So these are the few things that I bring. And here I have a homemade sink stopper. I just cut it out of one of those silicone baking trays. I have my gear tie that I use to hang things up. I have a dry bag with 13 liters where I wash inside. And I have a little clothesline. I always bring a few laundry sheets because they are great for hand washing, but I can also use them if I have access to a washing machine. I already did quite a few videos on how I wash and dry on the road, so you should watch them if you want to know more. If you want to keep your clothes smelling better, then consider adding one of those dryer sheets, if the ones in your country are not wet, or one of those sachets with some smell to your clothes, and they will stay fresher longer. Especially when on longer trips, sometimes there starts to be some smell inside your clothes that you just cannot get rid of. In that case, try to get your hands on some laundry detergent powder because that usually gets rid of all those smells. So how can you find the best clothes for travel? Well, in my opinion, it's very easy. You just have to simulate how you would wash them on the road. So I usually wash it in the sink, I wring it out a little bit in a towel, and then I hang it up inside a room with no airflow, and then I just see how long it takes to dry. Hand washing is like the worst case scenario for the clothes because the most water stays inside. So this is, in my opinion, the best thing to simulate that. And ideally, I want to get clothes that are dry the next day. And if the thing is still dripping after 12 hours, then it most likely will not be a very good fit for your travel. And often, if I did that test, I found out that my regular clothes that I already have at home performed just as well as some expensive travel clothes. Because if my cotton t-shirt just needs 5 to 10 minutes longer to dry than my expensive merino wool t-shirt that I had, then is it really worth it? And I am a big fan of using up the things that we already have instead of just spending a lot of money that would be better spent on the trip. Travel, in my opinion, is not the time to show off. For me, blending in is a safety strategy. So I think flashy clothes or like huge logos just make you a target, and dressing low-key helps you to blend in more. I usually bring one outfit for every activity that I have planned. So I usually bring something for hiking, to go back to civilization and look a little bit more presentable, loungewear, and also something for sleep. And plus points for those 4 outfits are the things that can be worn for 2 or 3 different activities. So for example, I have a pair of hiking shorts that looks like normal shorts, so I can wear it whenever I go out or to a restaurant, and is also comfortable enough for me to wear while at home. So this is the perfect item for me. I am a big fan of layers. So instead of having a bulky winter jacket, I usually layer an insulated thinner jacket with a rain shell. I like it very much because this way I can wear them separately in warmer weather, but I can layer them when it gets really cold. And for me, this is much more versatile than just having one coat. When picking the things you bring, then also consider that you may encounter bed bugs. And in that case, you will have to treat your things. The easiest way to deal with bed bugs while traveling is usually to put your things in a dryer for a long time at the hottest setting. So try to bring stuff that can be treated like that, or that won't break your heart when it gets ruined. With all things, my motto always is, love it or leave it. If a t-shirt is scratchy, it doesn't matter how practical it is, it will make your trip miserable. If you hate the sunscreen that makes you look like you rubbed your face with some butter, leave it at home. You will learn to hate those items when you travel with them. Always pack some snacks and also some water. If the short bus ride suddenly turns into 48 hours of being stuck on a closed highway because of a landslide, you will be extremely happy that you brought them. Make a note of the things that you regularly forget and then check them every time you leave an accommodation. So I'm notorious for forgetting my sink stopper and my charger, so I always make sure that I check this list before I leave a place. Our travel kits will never be perfect and they never will be finished. And I think that's okay, because for me that is part of the fun. So see every trip as a chance to learn what works and what didn't work. Make a packing list, and then after your trip, immediately review it and make changes. And then make sure to store it somewhere safe, because you can reuse it for your next trip. Take all the travel gear that is so hyped on social media with a grain of salt. So always make sure that you do your own research and just use your common sense. Many of the so-called must-have travel gadgets just ended up being useless clutter for me. There is more than one way to pack, and there's endless variations of things you can bring with you. So you have to do what works for you. And don't feel guilty if you enjoy doing it differently than the way to do things. Always bring a smile. For me, that's the universal translator. It helped me in so many situations. It helped me speed up bureaucratic issues and opened many doors for me. So at the end of the day, in my opinion, you won't remember which backpack or which gear you brought on any specific trip. You will remember the people you met and the places you saw. So just try to bring less and travel more. And if you enjoyed this content, then consider subscribing to my monthly newsletter or to this channel. Also leave me a like, that would make me very happy. And as mentioned, the link to the playlist with the minimalist travel course is below. And thank you very, very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!